This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution. I am here with Mark Ramm, who's joining us all the way from southeastern Australia, from Angove. How are you today, sir?
Good, thank you.
Now, you have been with this company, Angove, for some 20 years now, but the history of this winery does go back quite a bit further than that. Would you mind telling us a little about the origins of Angove?
Started in 1886 by a doctor who emigrated from Cornwall in the UK to Australia. So we're talking 133 years of family winemaking. Fifth generation now in the business, have been in the business for the last 2 years officially, and that's about it.
And how did the business begin? Because Mr. Angove, the original Angove in Australia, was a doctor from Cornwall, I believe.
That's correct. So Dr. Angove emigrated from Cornwall in 1886, came to Australia, started a doctor's practice in Tea Tree Gully, which is just outside of Adelaide. He was making wine as a tonic for his patients. They kept on coming back, not because they weren't well, but because they wanted his wine. And from that we get to where we are today, 133 years later.
And what size is the winery today? What's your annual production?
Our annual production is about a million dozen cases.
Okay. So 1 million cases of a dozen.
That's correct.
Right. Okay. But that's obviously grown substantially since the doctor back there who had started his small business. Tell me a little bit about the evolution of the Angove brand.
Absolutely. It has grown since we first started in 1886, but it's also declined over the last 10 years. And that's been very much driven by a change in mindset, where we now are focusing on creating a brand which focuses on organic wines and premium wines from the McLaren Vale region of South Australia. So we're actually getting smaller, not bigger.
And please, speak to the interest in going down the organic route. Is that what you've done to differentiate yourself from many of the other medium to large size wineries out there?
In a lot of respects, yes. However, it was very much driven by the fifth generation family members wanting to pass the vineyards on to their children in the best way that they thought possible. And they believed that was organic practices. We never saw what would happen to our business from that 12 years on. So whilst it was very much driven by a company mindset to be doing the right thing for the environment and for the land, it's certainly changed our business.
And the original vineyards were in Riverland, right?
That's correct. So originally in 1886, Dr. Angove planted his vineyards in Tea Tree Gully, which is just outside of Adelaide, but they were acquired by the state government, so he then moved them 3 hours north to the Riverland, and was one of the first plantings of vineyards in the Riverland of South Australia.
And I believe at some point you were actually in possession of the largest single vineyard site in the Southern Hemisphere.
That's correct. Our Riverland Nanya vineyard was the largest single planting of vineyards in the Southern Hemisphere. Certainly not today. That's been reduced quite significantly from very much from the environmental changes have meant that we've had to remove a lot of our vineyards.
Is that because of the drought that you've suffered in recent years? Okay.
Yeah, yep.
And how do you combat that, or do you not? What can you do to soften the blow from these water shortages?
It's a very good question. I think organic practices has helped us in that respect. We're certainly using a lot less water than we did previously. Using different cover crops through the vineyard to try and keep the water the water in the soil. But it's something that we're working very hard on.
And is climate change something you feel Australian wineries are having to address these days?
Personally, I believe yes, absolutely. We're seeing our summers are a lot hotter for longer periods. We'll go weeks at 45 degrees. Our rainfall is a lot less than it once was. We haven't seen rain in 6 months.
Wow.
So I believe personally that it is changing. It's no no doubt.
And could you tell me a little about the expansion into McLaren Vale?
Yeah, very much driven by, I suppose, the Angove family wanting to find their place in the Australian wine industry and solidify that. And we believed it was moving to a more premium region. McLaren Vale was chosen as a region 12 years ago. We've now bought more vineyards in the McLaren Vale and grown our presence in the McLaren Vale. We chose the McLaren Vale simply because the climate is very different. It's got a very Mediterranean style climate, which means that we can do different varietals, and the wines aren't typically what you find out of Australia.
So right now, if we're looking at your range, what are the different steps within that range?
It's a very big portfolio,
right.
We cover 36 countries across the globe.
Good Lord, right.
But again, we're looking at entry-level organics. We have a mid-tier organic, and we also have a premium organic offering. We also have other wines from the McLaren Vale which aren't organic, which also are tiered for different pricing and to meet different consumer price points.
And where are your biggest export markets?
Our biggest export markets would be the USA, China, and Canada's certainly on the charts.
Fantastic. You've just been travelling all around Canada.
All around Canada.
And back to Australia on Wednesday.
Correct. Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for joining us at Good Food Revolution today. We really appreciate your time.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye.